It is Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show and the Aftershocks podcast. And before we show you this next video, just wanted to remind you that you can add the CMSPN to your Roku. That's right. If you have a Roku or a Roku TV, just click the link below. It's in the scroll. It's also in the description of this video. And make sure you're logged into your Roku account on your computer, and it will add it right to your Roku. It'll add it, then you just refresh your device, and bang, there it is. That way you can watch all of our episodes, whether it's us or Skull Sessions or Talk to Me or Aftershocks or Classic Metal Show. All be on your TV. It's a deal, right? And it's free. All right, make sure you do that. And now, here's the video you actually came to see.
All right, cool. All right, well, here we go with another episode of Aftershocks at AftershocksTV.com. And we're bringing you guys a real good one today. We've got vocalist and guitarist Matt Tluchowski from Ohio, occult metal outfit Dr. Smoke. Matt, what's going on, man? Appreciate you joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's talk about the new record, man. Dreamers and the Dead,
Sure.
Brand new album from Dr. Smoke. It comes out at the end of this week on Ripple. And it's your guys' first release, 7 years since your stellar debut, The Witching Hour, back in 2014. Man, it's been quite some time. So I guess my first question is, 7 years, what's been going on with you guys? I mean, why now the new record? I mean, did you guys just go on a hiatus for a little while? Just, I guess, fill us in. What's been going on with you guys?
Yeah, no hiatus. No, we haven't really taken any breaks or anything, man. I mean, like, it's 7 years. I mean, it's gone by, like, so fast, Mm-hmm. It's like you blink and you miss it. The older you get, it feels, like every day is like a second long,
Sure.
But no, we didn't really take any hiatuses. We played a lot of shows in that 7 years. We had a couple lineup changes, but we've been writing that whole time. There was a brief moment in time where the other guitar player, Steve, he was in the band Necrophagia for a little while.
Oh, okay.
We did a few tours with them, so that kind of like we kind of took a little bit of like a break, but we didn't go on hiatus. It was just kind of like he's going to go do that while we do this.
Cool.
We started recording the record actually in 2018, the end of 2018, and we did the drums, I think in November 2018, and then throughout 2019 we finished recording it. We didn't play any shows in 2019 because we're going to take the year off. We're going to work on this record. Okay. And then 2020 happened. Mm-hmm. So it's been kind of like a couple of years of that time frame have been due to just what's been going on. But it's been a hell of a long time though.
Sure. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, was it something, I guess, obviously during this whole pandemic, obviously, did that give you, I guess, time to sort of, you said though, back in 2018, you kind of had this all finished up. So were you guys ready to kind of release it earlier, and then the pandemic hit and you decided to wait, or how did that work out?
Well, we kind of took our time on the production for it. We did we recorded the drums at a local studio here in Steubenville, Innovation Studios. Okay. And the rest of the album we actually tracked ourselves. Okay. At home at our home studio. So we kind of just took our time with that, and we ended up going back to the studio to reamp the guitars and mix the thing. And then we had it mastered. The mixing and mastering process took a few months. So the thing, we had it ready. I think we got the final master back in February or something like that. So it hasn't really been too long since it was finished to the actual release, which has been good.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, the first thing I noticed, man, almost immediately when listening to the new record is the difference, obviously, in approach and style compared to what was on Witching Hour. I mean, definitely less 70s sounding, and definitely more, that Stoner Sabbath stuff, and more metallic. I mean, the riffs and leads are, to me, more reminiscent of, Maiden more than a Sabbath type of a band. And obviously, I'm looking in the back there, you got Angel Witch and your Docket shirt. That's what kind of it encompasses. It's more of those kind of sounds, obviously.
Absolutely.
Compared to Les Record, which I thought was more of like, very like Uncle Acid type of sounding. Your vocals too have more of like almost a Dave Mustaine-ish kind of, touch to it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a carbon copy or nothing, but just has a little bit of that influence. So I guess just talk a little bit about the musical change, going from what you did from the last album to this one, and what made you kind of want to go in this direction this time around.
Well, when we formed the band, when Dr. Smoke was formed, it was formed to be what the Witching Hour was.
Okay.
Right. And that was kind of a product of where I was at the time musically. I come from a death metal background, right?
Oh, okay.
I've been in death metal bands and heavier bands forever. And my buddy, who was my drummer, moved away. So I was kind of like stuck in this area where it's like, well, I don't have a technical drummer, so I can't do more technical music. So I'm gonna go back to my roots, and I'm gonna do some fucking rock music, man.
Nice. Okay.
And I hooked up with my buddy Dave, who's the drummer on the Witching Hour, and him and I kind of formed, the ground for Dr. Smoke. And we got Steve and Cody involved. Steve is he was actually in some death metal bands with me in the past. So, when we started the band off, we very much had a clear vision of like exactly what it was going to be, right? And I think we achieved that really well with the first record.
Oh yeah.
But when Dave
left
the band, and Cody stepped up to play drums, he used to play bass. He plays bass on the Witching Hour.
Okay.
And when he came in as a drummer now, his technical ability was just great, and Steve and I kind of like looked at each other and like, well, this is an opportunity to kind of like take this to the next level and like really kind of like start writing some heavier stuff and some more intricate metal music. But we wanted to stay true to the core sound of Dr. Smoke. You know what I mean? The vibe, try to keep that vibe, but like, just amp it up some, and there definitely was like, I mean, the Megadeth influence, there's definitely a good bit of that in the record. I mean, and definitely more bands, like 80s metal bands. And there's still some Sabbath influence. I mean, inherently, right? There's always going to be, but probably more 80s Sabbath.
More sound. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, did it have anything to do with the fact that, I mean, I know like, the stoner, the doom, that arena of that kind of sound, it's been, been really pretty big now for the last 10 plus years. But I would say, just maybe this is my personal opinion, but over the last like 3 or 5 years or so, it's gotten somewhat, a lot of the bands are really starting to sound identical. It's starting to get a little stale. There's only so much you can digest of that, that kind of stuff, and until you're like issued for something else. Was that at all a factor in you guys, also maybe changing your sound a bit?
I mean, we're definitely trying to break out of that genre tag.
Okay. Got it.
What I mean? Definitely.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
okay.
I do love a lot of bands that are in that genre. I mean, not a lot of them, but I mean, I'm a fan of a handful of it. But like, I think it was somewhere we couldn't hang out for too much longer. You know what I mean? Like we kind of felt the need to grow and do something a little different.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. The other thing too you alluded to before was the production. Definitely, I think that's different. I think Witching Hour had more of a murky kind of sound, where this one, on the new record, it's definitely a little bit more cleaner, but not like a polished clean. It's definitely, I mean, the riffs are still there. It's real crunchy. Everything's still heavy. It kicks ass. So I guess talk a bit about too with changing the direction with the production. I mean, was that done really to allow your guitar to sort of stand out more because of all the leads and stuff that you've got in the songs on this record?
I think the production, being cleaner and being a little more modern sounding wasn't necessarily something that we were like aiming to do specifically. It just kind of happened organically as we were working on the record. Okay. Definitely wanted it to be just a little bit more bright than the Witching Hour, because as you mentioned, the production on that album is kind of murky, but I think that adds to the overall vibe of that record.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, I think with the guitars being a little more metal oriented, kind of like changing up the tone of the guitars a little bit to be a little brighter, opening things up, and then like that just kind of like snowballed from there. Like, well, this needs to be a certain way. And the album was mastered by Tony Lindgren, Fascination Street Studios in Sweden.
Oh wow!
He's a great engineer. He's mastered for like Opeth and Sepultura and stuff. Wow. He did a great job on the record. Very happy with how it turned out for sure.
Yeah, the sound is great. It's funny when I'm listening, to the new record. I mean, it definitely brings me, as we were kind of talking about a little bit right now. I mean, it brings me back a bit when hard rock and metal overall was sort of more, I guess, multi-dimensional, than it really is now. I mean, the songs and the sound on the record, they're really fresh, which is, I guess, I think that's also a big part of the production too. It sounds real fresh. And there's so many influences on the record, and what's good is there's not one type of sound where it's sort of concentrated. I mean, for example, you don't have a song that sounds like, a Sabbath song, or other song that sounds more of like a Maiden, or, whatever, a Priest. So the influences are all there, but they're all encompassing within the whole song in like bits and pieces, which I think is really cool and different than a lot of the music you hear with the kind of music you guys play. So when you're writing, I mean, do you purposely sort of shy away from sounding too much, maybe like one specific, influence, so that you don't sort of go too far in one direction, and this way you're not kind of labeled as like a one trick kind of thing? Because I mean, I think with your guitars and how multi-dimensional you are, it really, I think, enables the listeners to hear like the multitude of influences that you have within one song, throughout the whole record, which is really cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. It's not necessarily something I do on purpose. I think it just kind of sort of happens while I write. I mean, I have a tendency with past bands that I've been in where the song structures and the genre mix has been a little schizophrenic.
Sure.
Kind of like throwing all the influences in, and I've tried to refine that over time and find complementary pieces that work together influence-wise for a specific song. But sometimes, when you're in a song, you're just like, well, this song, like, it's starting to be this way for too long. Like, we got to change it up.
Yeah.
Halfway through the song, I mean? Like, something different's got to happen. The vibe's got to change. Mood's got to change. You got to speed it up or slow it down. Add some contrast to the whole thing. But it's really kind of organic, like, songwriting for me. I don't really sit down and specifically try to emulate one thing or another. It's just kind of like, it just sort of happens, I mean, the influences are there, right? And that can change at any point in time, depending on, what record you're listening to, or, what kind of mood you're in. So, and that definitely happened over the course of writing this record, influences and moods, and, they changed drastically throughout it. But I think that we were able to write a cohesive record, and songs that work together pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. So you guys are releasing Dreamers in the Dead. It's coming out on Ripple Music, which is right over here where I live in the Bay Area.
Nice.
And I think it's one of the best, independent labels for hard rock and metal on the planet right now. It really is a great label. So talk a little bit about how you hooked up with them. How did you wind up hooking up with Ripple?
Well, actually, when we first started recording the record, Todd, he reached out to us on Facebook, and he just said, "Hey, what are you up to, like, with this record?" And at the time, honestly, I just gave an honest answer. It's like, we don't have any plans at the moment. But yes, I mean, he kind of had us on his radar for a while, I guess, and when we finally had the thing finished and we were shopping it and we approached him with it, he was really excited. Nice. He's been awesome, man. And it's been a great time working with him and everybody else at the label. And the roster of bands on the label is great. And, a few of them are from our neck of the woods. We're friends with, like, Brimstone Coven. They're right down the highway from us. Known them for years. Jake the Hawk and Horse Burner, they're also pretty close to us. And we've played shows with probably like about a dozen bands that are on the label throughout, our time as a band. So it's a good home for us. I think, it's been a good time.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess now, I mean, I did see that you guys were all set to play a, record release show in West Virginia on the same date as the record comes out. Unfortunately, I know you had to postpone that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you guys planning on doing anything for the release? I mean, are you going to consider maybe doing one of those live stream things? Or
we talked about that.
Okay.
I don't know if it's something that we're going to do. I mean, considering that the vinyl release date is kind of like in limbo right now, it's been pushed back because of delays from the factory. I think what we might do is kind of just combine the vinyl release with the actual album release and just have like one big kind of show for that, if it is permitting. We do have one other show booked currently that we are still kind of trying to figure out what we want to do with. It's an outdoor show. It's a haunted house, actually.
Oh wow, really? Nice.
Yeah, it's in my hometown, and that's on the night before Halloween. It's on October 30th, so it's outside. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do yet, but we're kind of like in talks about that. We might do it, we might not. Mm-hmm. I think it just kind of depends on where things are at and how we feel in,
sure.
In another month and a half.
Totally, man. Well, yeah, I mean, I know obviously tours are getting shut down left and right now. So it's kind of, everything's in limbo, but I mean, what ideally, I guess is the word, would be the plan for you guys in terms of, supporting and touring for, the record once you're able to do so?
I mean, if we were able to do so, I mean, we'd probably have shows lined up every weekend, all weekend,
okay.
And maybe even a couple longer runs here and there if it was financially permissible for us.
Okay.
I would love to get out there and do some things, and it was in summer, everything was looking really good, man.
I know.
Yeah. Everything was looking great and we were really excited. And then it's just kind of been the past couple of weeks, it's just been kind of a shit show,
Yeah.
It's been a bummer. I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to be in a few months. Maybe things will cool down again and things will be slightly better. I know it's going to be difficult with the winter coming and things, flu season picks up and
yeah, it's gotta be frustrating, when you're putting out a new album and it's like you can't just simply go out and play some shows. I mean, it's gotta be frustrating as all hell. I know, man. It's especially when you saw things starting to open up again over the summer, thinking the worst has passed us, and then here it comes back. Yeah.
I think what we're gonna do in the meantime is maybe we might make a couple more videos.
Okay.
Get some more stuff online. We're planning a pretty cool cover song for Halloween.
Okay,
so
nice.
Fun. And we've actually already started working on the third record, so we're keeping busy.
Okay.
Definitely not going to be another 7-year absence. Ideally, I would like the third record to be out maybe, but by the end of the year next year, if we can get it done. But so far, I think we got the beginnings of 10 songs.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it's chugging along pretty nicely, and it's pretty good. It's a little bit more in the direction of Dreamers of the Dead, but it's a little different also.
Okay, very cool.
Definitely still got that. Some of these songs definitely still have that 80s tinge.
Okay, very cool, man. Yeah, well, like I said, the new record is great. It's called Dreamers and the Dead. Comes out September 3rd on Ripple. And Matt, why don't you tell the listeners where, and the viewers, where they can go to keep up with the band and hear what you have to offer, on this killer new record of yours, where they can listen to the songs or just check you guys out.
Yeah, I mean, follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We're always posting on there, and the record is going to be available on Spotify, all streaming services. You can buy it on our Bandcamp or from the Ripple web store. And I mean, it might be in your local record store depending on where you are. So keep an eye out for it. But it'll definitely be streaming everywhere on Friday.
Fantastic.
Awesome. September 3rd. And CDs will be shipping out on Friday as well. So
okay. And as you said, unfortunately the vinyl has been delayed, but obviously,
right.
People can go to that section.
I do have the test pressing here.
Oh, okay.
It sounds amazing. So
nice.
Very excited. It was a pretty great moment when I got to put that on and listen to it.
Sure.
It's like a culmination of all of the buildup,
Sure. I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to check it on vinyl as well, man. It's a great record. Once again, Dreamers and the Dead, Dr. Smoke and Matt, man, thanks so much for coming on us and talking about the new record, and good luck with everything, man. Hopefully we'll see you on the road sooner than later.
Hey, thanks for having me.